Alright, so what you're gonna need to make a mask like this. And we got basically everything at an art supply store, so that's where you can get most of this stuff. This is armature wire. It's made specifically for like little mock-up action figures, I don't know, in stop motion. You can like bend their arms. Anyways, we're gonna use that to make the skeleton. Some regular masking tape just to hold parts together. We're just gonna use newspaper, and I got some Mod Podge, which is basically just the glue that'll kind of harden with the newspaper and create a shape. You could also just use regular Elmer's glue mixed with water or something. I don't know. There's tons of ways to do it. We also got some pliers to do our shaping. And we got paints. Just some cheap acrylic. 3 colors. You can mix any color with these 3. And then white is just to make maybe the eyes, or I'm not even sure if I'm going to use that right now, but it's good to have. Yeah, that's all the materials. First thing I'm going to do for Mr. Funk, since he's got a really big face and forehead, so I'm kind of just going to create a front view out of wire, just like this. So where the head's going to be, actually it's going to be down here. So his face is going to be lower on the body. So it's a pretty general shape. It's not like perfectly smooth or anything. Doesn't need to be. So there's a good shape. So what I'm going to do now is just take these loose ends. You could probably wrap some of this smaller wire around it, but I'm just going to use some tape. Yeah, I don't know. So find the ends, bring them together, and wrap it up. Nice and easy. So yeah, this stuff, like I said, it's not very strong. It will change shape. What actually makes the mask keep its shape afterwards is that glue in the paper mache. So now I got a nice big head shape. We got to create a front somehow using this heavier gauge wire again. I got 2 gauges. This is the light one. This is going to be like the in-between skeleton. This is going to be the main shape. Take this, turn it sideways, and then do the front of the face, whatever shape it's going to be, connected like that, so you start getting a 3D shape. And you'll just either tape it, you know, to the top and the bottom, or you can wrap the wire around a couple times. Just going to start working like this. Take my pliers so I can get some like sharp edges, but it's pretty soft, so I can mostly do it with my hands. Just like bend it into place. Got a good double chin going there. So there's his mouth, nice big open mouth. And his nose is going to be right on top of his lip, so I'm going to use the pliers there to give a sharp corner. He's got a little bitty nose. And then the eyes are on the side, so you don't have to do anything for the side. Now it's just forehead. So this guy's got a huge forehead. So that is pretty much exactly the shape I want. I'm actually gonna try to make the whole way, go all the way around his head with one piece of wire. So here, instead of cutting it off, I'm just gonna find exactly how I want it to be and just wrap it around like that. Give it a nice loop right there, so this can't really move much anymore. This is where I have to start thinking about how this is gonna fit on my head, how I'm gonna see through it. I honestly haven't worked that out at all. So this is actually pretty good. I'm going to cut it off right here. And once you cut it, it's done. You got to commit. So, I want the helmet to actually fit snugly on my head, so I'm going to try something a little new. I'm going to make an actual like cap that fits over my head, up to my ears like that. And now, I'm going to take some of this smaller wire and just put kind of arcs over the top and make a little helmet. Start back here where I wrapped it around. Just wrap that around there a couple times, you know. So get that, you know, figure out how long it has to be. So like like that. Cut a little extra so you can wrap it around. So it's kind of like the actual Mr. Funk head, except this one fits on my normal head. I'm going to put this one inside of that one so I can kind of hold the mask in its right place. That's the plan. Just kind of ripping my hair out. It's part of it. Yeah, you kind of have to work the pointy ends. Make sure those aren't poking you in the head. I'll put another wire over the sides like that. Just for extra security. This looks really ugly, but I mean, I did Cool Guy years and years ago. It probably looked even uglier on the inside. But it's what's on the outside that counts, right? Yeah, seems good. Wrap that around on the other end. Maybe tie a knot. I don't know. Whatever works. So now I got wires connecting the inner helmet to the Mr. Funk's outside appearance using wires. Basically connecting wherever I can just to hold it in place. No right way, no wrong way, like I did say. Alright, so now that I have a very basic, just like front and side view, I gotta begin to flesh this out. I also added this hoop right here, and that connects to the back. Now you guys don't have to follow this rule exactly. Cool Guy was pretty different, because this is going to be worn. That just gives me a little thing to put my head over. What I'll start doing now, I'll probably still use this thick wire. I don't know if I'm going to stuff this one. Cool Guy's head is stuffed with newspaper, but since I'm wearing this, it's going to be stuffed with my head instead. But for now, what I'm just going to do, start these cross sections. I might need some tape for this to hold them into place. But basically, just create different size circles. Alright, so as you can see, I started putting some rings around. I did end up using the thin wire and the thick wire. It is pretty weak, but the newspaper, paper mache is going to hold it all together in the end. You can see it's starting to take shape now. I'm constantly checking to make sure it'll still fit over my head. So far it does. I've been using tape a lot now, just as to hold things in place. I'll use that to put the wire where I want to and kind of just wrap it around, crisscrossing. Remember, it's all going to be covered, so just get the job done right now. Worry about the prettiness later. But it is smart to tape over sharp points and stuff, just so you don't end up poking yourself later. And you just want to put wire close enough together so that you get a pretty good basic structure. And you also want to make sure there's wire on any edges, like here on the lips, because you gotta have an edge to fold the newspaper over. And I'll basically just tape the joints wherever two wires cross. You know, the more strength, the better. Alright, so I'm almost done with the wireframe. So yeah, I'm feeding the wire through and taping it from the inside just so it's not so bumpy, but it's in Cool Guy and Mr. Funk's nature to be a little lumpy, so don't even worry about it. And once I get this wire through, I think we'll be ready to move on. Alright guys, finished the wireframe, and it's pretty terrifying. This is what it takes to get to this stage. If you're intimidated, don't be, because I made Cool Guy a long time ago and it didn't look nearly this good. There was a lot less wires, so just do what you can. When it all comes together, it'll look great. Oh yeah. Alright guys, so I decided before doing the paper mache to add some more support. So I put tape all around it. I'm just using regular masking tape. just going all around in one way and then all around the other way. Eventually it gets this really nice mesh that'll make it a lot easier to get the right shape when I'm doing the paper mache. Here I just used some scrunched up newspaper, taped it up. That's gonna be the upper lip. It looks ugly now, but this is just the structure, remember. Alright guys, hey, so Anthony's joining us now. We got this ready to go. So now we're using some old newspapers, making some strips about yay big. I'm just about to mix up some Mod Podge with water, try to get a good consistency for paper macheing this thing. Alright, so here's the Mod Podge. Let me show you just about how much I use. I'm totally guessing though, so some of that, some water, a fancy stirring mechanism, so I'll add some more of this. So yeah, it's pretty liquidy. I'd say like maybe 2/3 of Mod Podge and 1/3 of water. So this is how you apply it. For the first layer, since there's nothing sticky to attach onto, you're just gonna dunk this whole newspaper and get it all creamed up. And then you just like wipe it off with your fingers so it's just well soaked. And you apply it onto the mesh. And that's one strip. Just keep doing this. It might be hard to get all the sides at once without letting it dry. Or, like, I put a hook on top of his head, so if we need to, we can hang it. Alright, so we got some good coverage, first layer on this mask, and it's turning out pretty well. For the more detailed parts, we're going to take the strips and rip them up into bits. Strips into bits. The more detailed it is, generally the smaller bits you want to use. So I've got the head hanging now off of my tripod, just so I can not have anything touching the ground and make it a little easier. So I've already got a couple layers on here, but if you want a really strong mask, you probably want 4 layers of newspaper across the whole thing, so just keep on doing it. I'm really just guessing it until it feels good. I don't know how many layers I've got on here. You can't have too much, so just go nuts. Make sure it's all really covered, because it's better safe than sorry. Now that we have everything paper mached and built, next part is to start painting. But since we got some pretty cheap paint, we have to use primer, or just any white paint really, to cover up all the newspaper. That way when we do the color on top, it looks a lot better. Alright guys, so here's the finished head. I gotta apologize, I totally forgot about filming during the painting process. What I learned is that the really cheap paint we used was a little too cheap, and it actually ended up crackling the whole surface. It actually works out pretty nice because it's kind of a cool effect for Mr. Funk, but if that's not what you're going for, just keep that in mind. Oh, and another thing that I noted, since I put the tape all around it, the inside was sticky, which was pretty annoying. So the next time I did this, I would have actually done 1 or 2 layers of paper mache on the inside just to cover that glue from the tape. That's about it. I hope you guys understood everything that I was trying to say. I know it was kind of thrown together, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to all of you. Thanks.